Hello everyone, thank you for having me, Maha Abu Bakr, and my colleague Mazen Mohamed Nasif to present our paper today under the title of Designing Alternatives for Residential Apartments in Cairo Using Shape Grammars. Our idea is to provide a tool for designing residential apartments in Cairo. This tool is simple, and systematic tools can help designers and architecture students to generate various alternatives of designs without crucial mistakes. Divided into three parts: theoretical part and practical part, and the results. The theoretical part based on presenting the criteria of building or designing the residential buildings in Cairo, considering the cultural and social aspects and the contemporary lifestyle in Egypt. And in the same part, we are going to present some models that carry a lot of problems in the design that affect the sense of satisfaction for the residents. In the second part, we are going to analyze those models and articulate the main problems. And from the analysis and the theoretical part, we are going to put on a number of shape rules that, by derivating them, we can generate various number of models without those crucial problems. And the result, we present a model of derivating and see how it works and see how this tool working efficiently. To go directly to the research problem, here we are presenting two models that are currently advertised in the market, introduced by private sectors in Egypt. Both models have a semi-private zone and private zone, including the bedrooms and the service area. But if you want to access the private zone, you have to cross by the reception. Similarly, in this model, we have here the wet area in blue and the semi-private zone and the private zone. But if you want to access the private zone, you must pass by the reception. Another models designed by the Egyptian Ministry of Housing. It's a residential building consisting of two apartments. The courtyard is in the middle, surrounded by the wet area. At the bottom, we can see the private sectors, the semi-private sectors, and the bedrooms are at the top or at the using the front elevation. But in both designs, you have to pass by the semi-private zone to reach the bedrooms. Here, we are searching for a zoning, for an appropriate zoning to provide privacy and satisfaction and the sense of well-being and social satisfaction for the residents, and those zoning design must be suitable for the contemporary lifestyle for Egyptians. So if we have three zones: semi-private zone, private zone, and semi-private zone, we can reach them through a central lobby or transitional area from which we can access for three zones, and to move from the semi-private zone to the wet area, and from the private zone to the wet area, you shouldn't pass by the other zone. By relocating those bubbles, we can get another alternatives those alternatives can work as rules to provide the initial steps of the shape grammars. Unlike the current apartments that depends on having the same zones, but the lobby designed in those models does not provide a transitional area. The lobby is access to the service area and the semi-private zone. And to reach the private zone, you have to pass by the semi-private zone, and this is a crucial problem in the current advertised apartments. The following plans are just a trial to introduce design guidelines for residential units and with different areas, being oriented towards one elevation. So if we can have a look on the urban context of the apartments, any apartment can be accessed, can be reached by from three elevations, or two elevations from the front and the back, or one elevation. And this model is the model that we are going to work on in this paper. The plans are generated from the proper zoning, which depends on dividing residential area into the three main zones. Each of the three zones should be accessed directly from the entrance lobby. This is a model for an apartment with 120 meters square. If we look to the circulation between the zones, we can notice that to access to the private zone or the semi-private zone does not force the resident to pass by the other one. It's completely separated. Similarly here for 180 meters square apartment, to access to the private zone or a semi-private zone, the access between them is completely separated. You don't have to cross by the reception or cross to reach the bedrooms, or vice versa. The last model for an apartment with 240 meters square in the courtyard in the center, and to the access for the both zones, private and semi-private, is completely separated, from which we can generate a number of grammatical rules. Those grammatical rules are divided into three groups. The first group is a dividing rules, which divides the space into two other spaces, horizontally or vertically. We have to put some rules to put our labels. That labels works in shape grammars like the punctuation in the language, and we have to make an ending rule or finishing rule that delete all the labels to announce the finish of derivation. The second group of shape grammars were deduced from the Egyptian building code, and to provide good ventilation and provide expansion for spatial spaces. All of those rules works on the whole surface area of the apartment or the inside rooms as well. For example, rule number 12 can make subtraction in the space by labeling the place where we need to make the pockets, and just delete this space to make a pocket and provide ventilation for inner spaces, for example. That's a third group are dividing and subtracting rules using inclined lines or angles, in which those angles between 15 and 165 degrees Celsius. degrees only. From the illustrated grammatical rules, we can design a tree diagram. This part of it that show the variety of designs that can be generated from derivating the rules. Each one of them can generate more ways and more designs. Here we are going to present just a model to see how this tool works and how can we derivate the shape rules. By applying rule number 3, we are going to put our label on the shorter side, so we can divide the space into 2 spaces. Private zone and semi-private zone, and we labeling from the longer side to know that the next step is going to work on the middle line. By applying rule number 14, we are expanding the private zone a little bit. And by applying rule number 2, we are dividing the private zone into 2 zones, and similarly the semi-private zone, both of them are divided horizontally. And by applying rule number 14, we are expanding the space and shortening shrinking the other one. On both zones, and by repeating the rules number 2 and 14, we can divide the whole spaces. By applying some rules from group 3, we can make the pocket to allow ventilation, and the courtyards to allow also ventilation for the wet areas. And by applying rule number 15, we can create our lobby, entrance lobby. And by applying rule number 5, we are deleting all labels to finish the derivation. At the beginning of this paper, the argument was about if shape grammars can provide the technical apparatus to make Kirian's design rules. This argument is settled with the presentation of grammar from the Egyptian building code, residential building standards, and considering the social aspects. The use of simple composition rules, simple, we don't have to make complicated ones. We can use just simple compositional rules of these section rectangles to determine the style. The grammar counts the generation of number of houses considered in the corpus, as well as new houses in the same language. These new houses are generated both by the author and generated by the authors of this paper from the grammar to achieve the Egyptian building code, and separates between the private and semi-private zones that works as that is considered as a common mistake in the current advertised apartments in Egypt. Therefore, these grammatical rules can be derivated successfully. Thank you for listening.